Sir. Well, Mr. Craig.
Almost.
Yeah, you're here.
Yeah, unfortunately, Jason couldn't make it tonight, so you get second string here. I'm Mark Jones.
Yep.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, Dr. Nicely. As you know, Roanoke County Public Schools has a significant partnership with Carillion Clinic to help us provide nurse education for our students. Carillion Clinic stepped up to the plate in several ways. First and foremost, by providing a caring and devoted teacher, Ms. Karen Zimmerman, in attendance with us tonight. Carillion also donated equipment and augmented instruction by providing additional supervisory staff when students were involved with their clinical rotations. Carillion was involved with us from the very start by providing guidance and program development as we got things off the ground. In recognition of Carillion Clinic's substantial partnership, the CTE department nominated the Carillion Clinic to the Virginia Department of Education for the Creating Excellence Secondary Business and Industry Partnership Award. Tonight, we want to congratulate Carillion Clinic for being selected as the Region 6 winner of the award, and also want to recognize some of the hardworking Carillion Clinic staff who are with us tonight. As I mentioned before, Ms. Karen Zimmerman, who's an education consultant and instructor for the RCPS Intro to Nursing program. Ms. Becky Dooley, who is the Director of Education and Organizational Development. Tara Wiedemann, who is the Senior Director of Education and Organizational Development. And Sonia Charlo, the Director of Talent Acquisition.
Sure.
Yeah, you notice I didn't say smile. There's no point in that. So.
Yeah. Thank you.
Item 5.02, recognition of jobs for Virginia graduates 5 for 5 award. Mr. Barry Glenn. Mr. Glenn. Welcome.
Mr. Chairman, School Board, Superintendent, once again, it's delightful to be here. I'm going to go over the results of my last year as CEO, which ended about 2 weeks ago, thank goodness. No, thank goodness. But my first 15 years in this job, I lived in Roanoke with my family, and for the last 9, we lived outside Richmond. But I will tell you something about Burton Center for the Arts and Technology. That school is filled with excellent instructors, excellent teachers that go the extra mile to be sure their kids are ready for the job market. Quite frankly, don't repeat this, but it's probably our best CTE center in the state, and you need to know that. Now, I get everybody has one of these fancy things here. Okay, you look at the barriers. The average barriers are 6. That's a little low, but then again, it's very hard to find out what these barriers these kids have, because some of it's, protected by confidentiality, but we think that's a pretty accurate average. And removed all but 2.5. And they were, Burton was honored at the National Training Seminar in July that the students, and it's a point down, they contributed 200 plus hours community service. That's amazing. That's unbelievable. What's going on? Because we know that the COVID has severely, not crippled, but affected, hands-on teaching. But if you'll see, you won the 5-5 again, and I think they have, a dozen plaques in the school right now saying that. We have a saying in Jobs for Virginia Graduates, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. And we measure everything. The 505 indicators are there. They're kind of explained. You see your history, and point out the BCAT is amazing right there. And of course, that's a wonderful instrument. I'm pleased to introduce Antonio Rice, who's the new CEO of the Jobs of Virginia Graduates. He has some awards for you. Before I shut up, I will tell you that I believe with the economy going down it is, that kids with skills that translate directly to the workforce are in a great position. And that's what we do. We get them ready to go to work, and of course we follow them up for a whole year to be sure everything's still fine. So, Antonio Rice.
So let me just say a few words. I have a bit of a sports background, and a lot of my coaches would always tell me, like, there are no accidents, and stats don't lie. We used to have a saying, the big eye in the sky don't lie. That's the film. And if you look at your stats, they don't lie. And so I think it starts with leadership. And I'm going to bring our specialists up here and honor you. Well, actually, I'm going to give this to you here. And then I'm going to read this real quickly. So JAG, which is our national affiliate, National 505 Recognition, the Burton Center for Arts and Technology is recognized for outstanding performance and accomplishment in exceeding 505 national performance goals for the class of 2019. And so you guys were recognized at the virtual national training seminar, and it's signed by our president, Ken Smith. And so going back to what I said in regards to leadership, they say the rate of the leader determines the pace of the pack. Here's our leader right here, right? In terms of our specialist who really makes who makes this program work. And then we got to look out here at the board, the chairman and the board members as well. And so thank you all for your commitment to JAG and JVG. And I'm just looking forward to, I can't say I can fill the shoes. Those are some pretty big shoes, but I'm going to do my best to fill those shoes and be a partner with you all and continue to make a difference with your students. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, please, absolutely.
We found out last week that the General Assembly is going to give us another $1 million. $1 million. We get $557,000 from the state now, so they're giving us $1 million so we can add 20 programs at least. Also, they're giving all the programs and adding another $5,000 because you asked for 30 and they only gave you 25 because we got no new money. But now we have new money once the governor signs it, which will be any day now. So we went from $557,000 to $1.6 million. By the same token, you can add programs for $30,000 each if you'd like. And a suits memo will come out in that as soon as the DOE gets it out. But I would encourage you to investigate JVG, how well it's working here. It works very well in a big standard high school. And this $30,000 will be for second semester, and I'm hoping it'll be a straight grant. I'm hoping there won't be any matching opportunity because it's really hard to spend that much money in one semester. But I have a conversation with the DOE tomorrow and my board next week. But I think that's a testament to how hard our specialists have worked to give us their. We've won the national award for 22 straight years. Every year we've been eligible. There's only 3 programs in the country that have won it as many times as we have, and they've been in business longer. So I wanted to let you know that congratulations. I sincerely appreciate the school system adding the 50% match, the half and half match. We have a public-private partnership. You have some skin in the game. That's the way my board set this up 24 years ago when they hired me. And even though there probably won't be a lot of skin in the game second semester, it's a wonderful opportunity to show you what JVG can mean in the lives of these kids, because the job market next year is not going to be great. Trust me. I mean, that's my, what do I know? But I want to thank you. Do you want to give the plaque to the superintendent? No?
Mr. Gish is here.
Yeah.
Come on. Can we give them to y'all?
Oh, sure.
Absolutely.
Want to get a photo? Can we get a photo? Is that possible? Come on up, Mark.
Mr. Butts? Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Glenn, I'd just like to thank you for your many years of service. Since I've been on the board and you've come give us a report, we've been very excited because you've been excited for us of what we accomplish in Roanoke County. So that, and you recognize that, and you're excited when you come, and it inspires us. So thank you for your many years of service.
Well, 47 years of teaching, this is the best 24 years of my life.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Item 5.03, recognition of Harbor Freight Tools for Schools Winter. BCAT, Mr. Sean Burns, Mr. Christian Kish. Welcome, sir.
Hey, good morning, or good evening. It's been a good
Exciting.
day for Burton.
Exciting news.
Chairman Ray, members of the school board, Dr. Nicely, thank you for having us here tonight. I'm here to present Mr. Sean Burns, the mechatronics and robotics and engineering exploration teacher at Burton Center. As we all know, he was recently named as the recipient of a major national award. Any of us in this room participating virtually or here physically who have been in Mr. Burns' shop know exactly what I'm talking about when I describe his learning environment as ship shape. From the painting of his floors and the walls to the layout of his shop, everything is the way it is for a specific reason. His naval experience as a machinist combined with his military instructional experience made him an excellent candidate to help revive a program that prior to his arrival was becoming dated and struggled with enrollment. Now, the program is vibrant, flourishing, and as one student described it, all I can think about. Mr. Burns has a particular way of doing things, and that way is precise, detailed, and organized. His students enjoy his class, and they're successful after completing his program because that is exactly the way he sets it up to run. He builds excellent relationships with students, he maintains a high standard of safety and accountability, and he works hard to improve his craft and his program, as evidenced by the prize he won. Sean deserves this award, and I am glad we can be here tonight to recognize him for such a well-deserved honor. As principal at BCAT, it gives me great pride to introduce Sean Burns, a national winner in the Harbor Freight Tools for Schools Prize for Teaching Excellence.
Welcome, Mr. Burns.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Nicely, it is an honor, and I'm listening to all that stuff. I'm like, I don't know that guy. I have been blessed. There's no doubt about this. Roanoke County, Career and Technical Education, Mr. Sir, they've been fantastic. I am not wanting for anything over there. They've met everything. But this extra money is sure going to add a couple things a little quicker than I had on my wish list. So I want to thank you very much. It's an honor. The competition across the country that I was competing against, and you look at those folks, that's what makes you feel really well, because there's a lot of people, as the last gentleman said about the JVG, this is what we do. We put kids to work in skilled trades. So thank you very much.
And Mr.
Congratulations.
Burns, any comments?
No, just congratulations.
No, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the time that you've put in. And I know each day, whether or not it's award or not, you put in the same amount and the same dedication. So we appreciate it, Mr. Burns.
Thank you, sir.
Item 5.04, recognition of the Blue Ribbon Award School, Hidden Valley High School. Dr. Nicely?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. We're going to invite Ms. Wimbush and some members of her staff to come on up. We're very proud of these folks, and not only for what they represent for Hidden Valley High School, but also for representing Roanoke County Public Schools so well. So just briefly, some information about the Blue Ribbon School Award. So this was announced a couple weeks ago, but the National Blue Ribbon School Award is an award from the U.S. Department of Education. It is a national award. In fact, nationally, only 367 schools were recognized this year as National Blue Ribbon schools. In the state of Virginia, there were only 8 schools so recognized, and Hidden Valley High School was the only high school of the bunch in Virginia to be recognized. And so this is an especially special point of pride for us as a school division and for the school to really have Hidden Valley High School stand out in that way. The recognition of the Blue Ribbon Award is based on the school's overall academic performance or progress in closing achievement gaps among student subgroups. It affirms the hard work of educators, families, and communities in creating safe and welcoming schools where students master challenging and engaging content. It's in its 38th year, and it's bestowed over 10,000 awards to more than 9,000 schools across the country. In fact, over the years, we've had other schools in Roanoke County so recognized. But this year, we're so proud of Hidden Valley High School, the only high school in the Commonwealth to be recognized as a National Blue Ribbon School Award. This group has worked so hard for this. Hidden Valley High School, of course, opened in 2002, so in 18 short years for it to have achieved this level of recognition is pretty outstanding. I think it's due to not only the outstanding teachers, the leadership at this school. Over 18 years, we've had a lot of good stability. Only 3 principals during that time. David Blevins was the original principal in 2002. Dr. Stegall, of course, who is here, was principal. And then Ms. Wimbush has continued in that tradition of excellence as the leader of the school. Ms. Wimbush also serves, by the way, we appreciate her contributions not only to our Roanoke County Education Foundation Board, but also as a key member of our newly formed Equity Leadership and Planning Team. So on behalf of her and all the excellent staff and folks she's brought with her this evening, we just want to say how proud we are of them and wish her congratulations. So Ms. Wimbush, come up here and say a few words.
Thank you, Dr. Nicely. Thank you, Chairman.
Welcome.
Thank you all. I just want to say it's a great school, great place, and because of all the support of you all and Dr. Nicely and Central Office, we've been able to establish a great tradition at Hidden Valley, and I'm so proud of my teachers and students and the families of Hidden Valley, and it's just a great place. So I just want to thank you all for your support, and thank you again. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moretz?
I mean, I'm biased, obviously. So I've had the privilege of getting to know Miss Wimbush and a lot of staff over there. You know, as many of you know, I've got a 10th and 11th grader over there. And, I mean, just the environment at Hidden Valley is so welcoming. And it really does start from the top. I mean, you know, Miss Wimbush is, is a fantastic leader, but she's also surrounded herself with high-quality leaders as well. I mean, from guidance to teachers to support staff. I mean, so, and it's corny, but it really does take a village. And so I couldn't be more proud. And, just thank you for all you do for my 2 kids, but, all the students at Hidden Valley. And I know that, given everything going on right now, hopefully this is a little bit of a boost that, can give you a little bit extra energy, because I know, like everybody else, y'all are working your tail off, and just, I can't thank you enough.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Wimbush, I'd like to say congratulations. I admired the job you did when you were at Northside Middle School when my boys came through, and it's not surprising at all that you've carried that enthusiasm over there to Hidden Valley. So well done, and congratulations. Ms. Wimbush, thank you and congratulations. And enthusiasm is a word that captures her personality. She's definitely enthusiastic. Well done. Well deserved. Thank you.
And congratulations, Ms. Wimbush and team. Y'all, I know that you give gratitude to your support team. When I first came on the board, I was visiting all the schools, and I went to Northside Middle. And I left that school, and I said, that lady's going places. I said, she's really, you were so energetic, and, you had everything organized. You had your team behind you, which is very important. And I just, I saw those qualities and I knew, and it's no surprise to me that you would develop the Blue Ribbon School. So thank you so much. Thank you, staff. And we really are proud of you. So thank you. Great stuff happening in Roanoke County. Amen. Item 6.01, hearing of citizens and delegations. I have 3. And the first one is Ryan Weststock. And would you state your name, address? Do you have your zip code? It's not on here?
I can say that, yes.
Okay.
My name is Ryan Wiesdock. I live at 151 Spruce Run Road in Newport and Giles County. Zip code is 24128. But I am a history teacher and civics teacher at Hidden Valley Middle,
Okay.
which is why I'm here. I'm here to talk to you guys today about an issue that is very important to me, and that is mental health for teachers and for students in schools. I know that this is an issue that the school board has taken seriously over the past couple of years and done a lot for. As you might be aware, as you're probably aware, the General Assembly recently passed and the governor signed a bill, HB 74, to require school districts to set requirements and programs for teachers to be trained on mental health and so on. I know that there are things that the school board has already done in that regard. I was curious both if the school board was intending to take additional steps to comply with that piece of legislation, if it felt that what it had done so far was sufficient, or if it was going to try to consolidate various things. And if the school board was intending to take additional steps for that, then I was hoping that the school board would take under advisement that many of these sorts of requirements that teachers do are often just kind of checks, right? Here's what you need to do, here's another thing at the beginning of the school year, check the box, you've done that thing. And I think mental health is a very serious issue and a very important one. And I would like to hope that the school would devise whatever plan it comes up with if it wants to do something beyond what it's done to make it so it's more than just that kind of a check. Ideally, I know with the pandemic, it probably would have to be online, at least for the foreseeable future. But in the future, trying to make that sort of thing in person, trying to make sure that it's centered around the experience of both students and staff. I have had several students who have had those kinds of experiences in school, and I would hope that I could be able to, in the future, have a better idea about what to do in those situations. I know we've received training on various things ranging from trauma to substance abuse, but I don't really recall going through much. I'm new here, but I don't recall going through much specifically regarding various mental health issues. So I don't know what the school board's recommendations were or intentions were in that regard. And so I was just here to ask and see what, if anything, the school was intending to do.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Weststock. we're going to take your information. We don't dialogue back and forth. We certainly will get with the superintendent, and he'll be addressing these things. Thank you. Jerry Canada? And I forgot to give the rules. Of course, I don't have to give them to Mr. Canada. He remembers them. 3 minutes, green, yellow 1 minute, red. Wrap up your comments. Thank you, sir.
Jerry Canada, 5911 Plantation Road in Roanoke, Virginia, 24019. First of all, I apologize for my attire here tonight. It's been a long day. I've been painting, babysitting, helping kids with their schoolwork. So there you go.
Sounds like a good excuse.
Best one I have today. It all began at Bogle Field. At Bogle Field, with the advent of Hidden Valley High School, we found the need to put an artificial turf on a football field. We did everything we could back in those days to not do that. We redid Bogle Field. We put sod on it. We planted grass. We did everything. And we were just throwing good money away trying to make that field work. So it seemed like a good idea at the time to put turf on Bogle. 2 schools using it, rec leagues. It just seemed like the right thing to do. And we thought, the school board, the school division thought at the time that we could do that one school and justify not doing the others simply because of the heavy use and the fact that 2 schools were using it. The neighborhood at Hidden Valley, didn't want a football field in their neighborhood, the lights and the noise on Friday nights. So we went along with that. And it worked out really well. Then came along, it worked for several years that way. And then as the board began to change, then all of a sudden there was a need for a turf at William Byrd. It was said to be a need, not a want, basically the same thing. A lot of usage, rec leagues, a lot of mud. So we put a turf field at William Byrd. Then we came along and we had this turf field. We had a need for a turf field at Glenver. And God knows that was the biggest mud hole in the Roanoke Valley. The team was having to play games on the Salem football field or else at the well, I guess on their field. So here we are. We're talking about fairness. Next year, if all goes well, we'll be renovating William Byrd High School. And that remains to be the only school that did not have a 100% total renovation. So, in fairness, you're going to renovate William Byrd High School next year. And then all 5 schools will have been completely renovated. Classrooms, every classroom. Now we get to Northside, and you could almost see that this was going to happen. Northside High School now is the only football field in the entire valley, for public schools, Roanoke City, Salem, and Roanoke County. Northside now has the only field that does not have a turf field. So we're talking about fairness. I hope you guys will really consider this and do it quickly. Let's put all of our student athletes on firm footing. No pun intended. It's all about fairness, Joan. God bless you. Good night.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. Laura Bowman. Welcome, Ms. Bowman.
Thank you. Laura Bowman, 6520 Corntassel Lane, Roanoke, Virginia, 24018. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Nicely. In 2016, I began researching the adverse effects of screens in schools on children. For 4 years, I shared information with the public on the subject through my work with parents across America. I also helped a bit with the campaign for a commercial-free childhood's Screens in Schools toolkit and provided feedback on a widely used parent toolkit for student data privacy. Here are some facts backed by copious amounts of research and data. Excessive screen time contributes to childhood myopia, digital eye strain, and obesity. It negatively impacts children's musculoskeletal systems, their sleep patterns, and their emotional health. Reading on paper increases comprehension, and writing by hand boosts retention. In addition, children's personal data is increasingly accessed for profit and other nefarious purposes. Children need and deserve caring, human interaction, and hands-on learning opportunities versus more seat and screen time. I absolutely understand the emergency use of screens as a stopgap measure during a pandemic when community health is at risk. I'm opposed to laptops being given to 3rd through 5th graders after this health crisis ends. Trying to justify laptops for littles in the name of higher SOL scores when we have multiple computers in every elementary school classroom already isn't a winning argument. SOL tests are both expensive and meaningless. They don't tell teachers anything they don't already know about their students. High-stakes standardized testing is far and away one of the most harmful education reforms in our nation's history. Yes to computers in elementary school classrooms as tools for creativity, communication, and research. No to personal laptops for littles. Please listen to experts in childhood development like Nancy Carlson Page when they say, young children use their whole bodies and all of their senses to learn about the world. They learn from direct, first-hand experience in the real world and by inventing ideas. They make sense of their world and build inner resilience through it. They live and learn in a context of social relationships. They need and deserve hands-on, experiential learning opportunities, not passive information gathering generated through a screen. Please do the right thing by them. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Bowman. Read item 7.01, report by Student Advisory Council. Mr. Mark Linkus, welcome. Welcome, Mark.
Welcome. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and Dr. Nicely. My name is Mark Linkus, and I'm a senior at Glenver High School. So the Student Advisory Council met on October 14th over a WebEx call, and here we were able to discuss our thoughts concerning the SAC retreat that just happened recently, as well as what we learned during this time. Afterwards, we resumed our discussions from last year about revising the SAC logo, and members were able to give their input concerning what they wanted inside of the logo, and all of this is in an effort to still create a logo that reflects the SAC's values, but is also modernized. This was followed by talks about the SAC website, and it's a website that's currently in development, and we were able to see different aspects of the website that have been already put in, and we were able to give our thoughts concerning that. And all of the credit, all the information that has gone into this website, the credit for that goes to last year's senior rep, Caroline Daly. She just spent a lot of time putting in all the information and just putting it together to make the purpose and the details of SAC more widely known. And lastly, we were able to actually have a Q&A session with Dr. Nicely, and during that time we were able to discuss different aspects such as what the school system is doing to ensure the safety of the students during this time, as well as opening up more extracurricular activities during this time and what that might look like. So thank you, Dr. Nicely, so much for giving us that valuable time and for answering our questions. So thank you all for your continuous support of the Student Advisory Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Certainly appreciate your efforts, and certainly on these unprecedented different times, and y'all are forging forward. And so thank you for your group, the SAC. Item 8, consent agenda.
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. The consent agenda, before I get to Madam Clerk for the roll call, just for those that are watching, plus we usually tell this, that we usually do a lot of things in the work session on these items, and we do them and have them on a consent agenda. So since our work sessions will be live streamed as well, parents, anyone, students, anyone can look at those meetings and see what we're talking about in our work sessions as well. Madam Clerk, will you call a roll, please?
Mr. Butler?
Yes.
Mr. Morat?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Linden?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Item 9, action items, 9.01, request for appropriation of federal coronavirus relief funds awarded to school divisions. Ms. Susan Peterson, welcome, Susan.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. The first item before you is a request to appropriate funds for the Federal Coronavirus Relief Funds Grant, also known as the CRF grant. At last week's work session, we took an in-depth look at the many ways we could productively utilize these funds. Subsequent to that meeting, staff did more research and devised the following list of items that we can purchase or apply these funds towards. First, we recommend purchasing 3,210 new laptops. These laptops would replace the ones that we handed out at the beginning of the year that came out of the surplus laptops. So they're older, they're out of warranty. We would recommend putting those in the hands of all 100% online students that are preschool through third grade who would need an online device that's very reliable. We would recommend putting those in the hands of all fourth and fifth grade students who are either online 3 days a week or 100% online. And we would recommend putting them in the hands of all IAs who are currently helping, and it would just facilitate the remote learning aspect. By doing this, we will be providing more reliable machines, an equitable learning environment, and a sustainable program because we will be providing newer equipment that would last a few more years, and we just don't know. I'm not intimating that this is going to last a few more years, but it would help in case laptops started to fail this year. The old laptops could be returned to classrooms or could be held back and provided to any student who is in preschool through third grade who may need to be quarantined for any reason and would not already have a laptop at home. So it could facilitate us in that way as well. We have verified that if we placed an order tomorrow, if the school board approved it, we could receive the laptops by the end of November. Mr. Terry's team could image them and distribute them in January during a work day, right before we start the third semester. The second pot of money that we would recommend purchasing would be the UV wands for preschool and kindergarten classrooms. This would just provide an extra layer of sanitization on instructional materials that are typically shared between students. They would also help with, in future years, as we come to the cold and flu season, to help keep the items sanitized. In addition, we would purchase, that would be for every classroom, so each teacher in pre-K and in kindergarten would have their own. They wouldn't have to share. And when Mr. Lowe looked into it, the time to use it was not a very long timeline. It had a very quick reaction time and safety shields in place to ensure the UV light was going where it needed to go. So they were not very invasive. The other item was a HEPA filter that could be purchased, one for every single classroom in the school division, and it would run while the students and teachers were in class, and this would just provide one extra level of safety and sanitization to the air quality while the students were on site and the teachers were in their classrooms. Those also could be purchased and put in place by December 15th.
May I ask a question? Are they more than filters? Are these actual devices, or are they filters? Does anyone know?
There are machines with 5 filters
That's what I thought, yeah, okay. Very good, excellent.
So then the third item we would like to spend the money on is to kind of shift the money. We've already made spending on curriculum development and on other staffing needs related to the coronavirus. We have funded these through the ESSER grant that was awarded to the VDOE, which has a 2-year spend down time period. So we would like to kind of pay that grant out of this grant, to shift the cost to this grant, which would open up money to be used in the next 2 years for coronavirus needs.
Question about that, not to interrupt you, but you can pay a grant with a grant.
Well, we're not really paying the grant, we're just going to move the expenses from one grant to the other grant.
Okay,
I said that wrong.
okay, got you.
And then finally, we would like to reimburse schools for some of their out-of-pocket costs to purchase sanitizing equipment, face masks, gloves, the floor markers to encourage the social distancing. So those are the ways that we would like to utilize the grant, and we think that we can do so in a manner that would meet the federal requirements of incurring the cost before December 30th.
Questions, comment? Mr. Moretz?
And this may be, Dr. Nicely may have to answer this, I'm not sure. So, tell me a little bit, I know we discussed this a little bit in the work session, but, when we talk about the replace laptops for all students learning through the hybrid program, what are we replacing? Because I don't think they have laptops now.
We would replace the ones that are already out there, because what we have is
One per
one per family.
Right.
So we would either replace
Okay.
it if they have it, or give them one.
Okay, so my fear, so what happens when we go back? I mean, I hope when things go back to, well, they're never going to go back. When we can get kids 100% in school all the time, what's going to happen with those laptops at that point in time? That's my problem, and my fear.
Yeah, so it's actually, I can address that, Mr. Moretz. So it's a great question. One of the issues we have currently is, we were able to, because we were able to use these surplus laptops for the elementary students to provide one per family, which works out well if you have, one child in elementary, or, maybe even two could share, but we've, found that there are families with, 3 or more children, and so this is one way to try to mitigate that need.
Mm-hmm.
But for future years, the idea is to use the grant money now for an immediate need, which is allowable. The good news is that, we have a replacement plan every year. So every year we replace ones for the middle school and high school program. This actually puts new devices in our hands that would give us a head start potentially toward those replacement costs. So it's actually a kind of win-win in that regard.
No, I appreciate you clearing me. I'm with your explanation, I'm certainly comfortable voting yes on this. I just, and I said it when we did one-to-one laptops down to 6th grade, and Ms. Bowman was kind enough to remind me of my statement, but, I said at the time that I just can't support the one-to-one laptops at the elementary school level. If you're assuring me that, that's not what we're ultimately going through, I'm happy to, to approve these funds if we can get these, when we get back to 100% online learning and these newer laptops can be distributed, and replace the other ones that might be 4 years old. I'm definitely comfortable with that. So, thank you.
Okay.
Yes. One thing, and what Mr. Moretz said along that line, once we get back into a normal school year, is what we call normal, then those laptops would come away from those, primary grades and also go back and filter in. One thing I had a question about was, and it may be Mr. Turry, but we have like a warranty or replacement, is that correct, Mr. Turry? And how would this affect the ones we just get and we cascade down to the others, and then they would go into retirement, I guess, or would you be able to get money back for those, or what?
For the surplus ones?
Yes.
We do have a program where we return anything that's out of warranty to a surplus company, and we receive funds for that. And that's kind of built into our 6-year, or our rotation plan that is a 6-year plan, but our laptops are under a 4-year rotation. So any funds would go back into that. As far as the way that these would be used in the future, as Dr. Nicely said, for several years out, we know by forecasting, we're going to replace these grade levels several years out. So these can be used in that program. It's the same model. It's actually the same model that's in the elementary classrooms right now. So it's one that is our typical student laptop we purchase.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I answered your question, but.
That's close enough.
Okay.
I mean, if we have fairly new laptops where we're cascading down, then we wouldn't, what would we do with those that are surplus at the time? And that was my question. We'll be turning those old ones in at some point and getting credit for those?
That's true.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, and to clarify, I guess for folks that are streaming and I don't know, maybe not looking at the screens, or maybe they are, I'm not sure. We're new at this.
They have been seen.
Okay, so it's $2.3 million, 2.359,630. Ms. Peterson, correct?
Yes, $2,359,630.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Have a motion?
Motion to approve the expenditure for laptops?
It's coming out of the CARES. Second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, will you call roll?
Mr. Butzer?
Yes.
Mr. Moret?
Yes.
Mr. Linden?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ray?
Ma'am. 9.02, request to suspend policy 4.26 for June 30, 2020, year-end carryover balances. Continue, Ms. Peterson.
Can I ask a question first?
Sure.
Your motion was for approving the laptops, but the request is for the whole appropriation?
Tell you what, why don't you
I'm
tell
sorry.
us what the motion should be, and then we'll approve that one. How's that?
I apologize.
No, that's okay.
We didn't.
Um,
That was
Staff
what you
would-
had.
Staff requests the approval and appropriation of $2,359,630 for federal corona relief funds awarded to the school divisions, as shown below. Sorry.
That's okay. So
It's all right.
the actual motion would be to approve an expenditure of $2,359,630 of
There's the-
coronavirus funds.
Yes, sir.
Second.
Everybody got it?
Yep.
Madam Clerk, we
Mr.
will.
Butzer?
do it
Yes.
again.
Mr. Moret?
Yes.
Mr. Linden?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ray?
Yes. All right, I wrote it in red 9.02, but you want to go ahead, Ms. Peterson?
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry about that. And of course, my laptop just.
Somebody needs to keep us in line.
Well, when it comes to money, I just want to make sure everything's right.
That's good.
That's the reason we got you here.
So the next item is to suspend the policy 4.26 related to the year-end carryover balances. Just to quickly reiterate, by law, any year-end balance that the school division does revert back to the government from which it came from. Roanoke County's policy does allow us to maintain ours with certain stipulations, and our policy further defines that as going towards the emergency fund, open purchase orders, and the major and minor capital. When we were developing the 2020-2021 budget, we did have to make some very large one-time deferrals, and at the time, we had buy-in from the county to use the carryover funds to backfill some one-time needs. During the October 8th school board meeting, I shared this policy with you, so you've already seen this under information. However, it does stipulate in that version that it was for one-time funds. At the last work session, it was indicated by the school board that we wanted to use some of the carryover funds for a one-step raise. A one-step raise is not carryover fund, or is not one-time use funds. I am made aware that the Board of Supervisors are agreeable to this change. As such, the policy needs to be changed to pull out the one-time only reference. I also included the list, which we'll go over in the next agenda item, of what we have on the surplus, on the carry forward list right now.
And it's a one-year abeyance is what we're doing.
Yes, sir.
Questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to, for approval to suspend policy 4.26 for June 30, 2020 year-end carryover balances.
Second?
Got a motion and a second? Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Butzer?
Yes.
Mr. Moret?
Yes.
Mr. Linden?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ray?
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Peterson. Item 10, information, 10.01, update to June 30, 2020 preliminary year-end balances. Ms. Peterson.
Thank you. We have shared the year-end carryover balances with the school board on October 6th, 8th, and 15th, and we have made some adjustments along the way. We do not expect the bottom line of the carryover funds to change between now and when we present the audit in November. We have made some changes based upon discussions from the last work session, and those changes are to remove the 1.4 million set aside for a possible reduction in ADM, to reduce $748,075, the full employee bonus that was in here, and only apply the carryover funds to a bonus for all employees in grades 0 through 13. To add a partial funding of a one-step raise for all employees of $1,098,075. And along this line, we will fund the remaining $682,532 from the health insurance fund. We have added a transfer to the CMP of $1 million, which was one of the deferrals. And we have added a transfer to the fleet replacement fund of $50,000, which is a small part of one of the deferrals that we took last year. So those are the changes. And you have the full list in board docs of the expected use of the carryover funds.
Questions? Would you like to go ahead and tell us, Dr. Nicely, 0 through 13, for the benefit of the folks that don't know that?
So
What would that entail?
Right. So the pay grades are, of course, by job function, job title. So grades 1 through 13 are it would all be in the classified employee range, and just to give some examples of folks who fall in that category, because of the percentage involved in a step increase, their percentage raise would be relatively small. So the idea is to supplement that, with a one-time bonus. And so those are certainly your custodians, your instructional assistants, and other folks who fall in that range. Grade level 0 are actually employees who who have been with this for many, many years and are no longer eligible for a step increase because they're sort of off their scale. So instead of leaving them out entirely, the proposal would be to include them in the bonus since they would not be eligible for a step increase.
So i.e. a teacher maybe who's been teaching for 35 years and has maxed out they'll be able to, the normal year when we do a step increase, they're not getting anything. But at least way we can, kind of recognize that, hey, they're working their tails off just like everybody else. Thank you for everything you're doing.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you for clarifying that. Any questions? Any more questions?
I don't have questions. I'm just pretty tickled. I mean, honestly, I know all the staff is just working so hard, and, I know this, I think this, I think this board has really worked hard, and Susan and staff and everybody, and try to find a way to recognize that hard work. And you hear a lot of localities, and, whether it's on the government side, school side, giving bonuses. And look, I mean, I would never turn down a bonus, but, what this board, I think, really tried to do was, really look out for, what the long-term effect of a step increase, right? I mean, it may, sure, this year it might be a few dollars less than than the original bonus we might be looking at, but, that's more money into your VRS. That's more, so really just trying to look at the long term, because I know a lot of localities have been unable to do a raise. So I'm thankful that this board's, commitment, to the teachers and staff. So.
Thank you, Mr. Moretz, and he said exactly what I would like to say. And, when retirement time comes, it'll say, boy, I'm glad they did that when they did. So I know that, Susan, thank you so much. I know sometimes you're probably talking under your breath when we're talking in a work session, and say, but we don't want to hear what you say. But we know that sometimes we go on different directions, and we have different ideas, and we want you to go back and put some numbers to them. And we certainly appreciate you always going back, and you're looking out for the best interest of us, the schools, and the county. So thank you.
Thank you.
10.02, budget calendar proposal.
Well, believe it or not, it's already time to look forward to next year's budget. So before you, we've got the proposed budget development calendar. This will be the second year of the biennium, and so it will be a short General Assembly session. The calendar is color-coded. The dark blue blocks are the regular school board meetings. The dark tan are what would fall out to be the regular work sessions. And the yellow items are the EAC meetings. Last year, we had a lot of extra budget work sessions built in, and we didn't have to meet for all of them. And I went ahead and just didn't add extra budget work sessions. What I did instead was plan the presentations around the regular work sessions. And so we will have budget discussions in the January, February, and March work sessions. Then in March, we will, more likely than not on the 11th, have an additional work session before or after the meeting. And then we will have to adopt the budget on March 25th. So this is out there for your information.
Great. Any questions? And you want the second biennium, here's the long session, and the short session, they've already gone through what they went through with the budget with this year. So.
And hopefully the other thing with the second biennium is they usually have more money to hand out.
Right.
And hopefully this is a year we wouldn't need it.
Yeah, hopefully. All right, thank you, Ms. Peterson.
Thank you.
10.03, CTE course change proposals. Mr. Mark Jones. Welcome again, Mark.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the school board, Dr. Nicely. I'm here again tonight to give a brief update on the curriculum redesign project that we've been working on in CTE since the fall of 2017. Obviously, in CTE, we continuously strive to update our curriculum to keep it relevant, but in 2017, we began a more in-depth project using federal Perkins funding to comprehensively look at curriculum in 3 of our content areas: business, family consumer science, and technology and engineering education. Our goal was to make sure that what we were teaching students was engaging and purposeful and allowed students to pursue a variety of career pathways. The changes at the top of the supplied sheet are the name changes that we made to more accurately represent the content taught in the course. In addition to those name changes, all credit-bearing courses in these content areas have been rewritten to ensure purposeful and engaging lessons are taught that make our students more opportunity ready. In the process of evaluating the curriculum, 4 courses were identified for replacement with new state courses, and those are listed at the bottom of the sheet. The first one looks like it's really not that big of a change. We replaced Woods Technology with Woodshop 2, which is sort of the same thing, but in reality it's a big deal because it does offer another career pathway and a completer sequence for our students to take. We also identified Geospatial Technology as a course that had very low historical enrollment. Students just weren't interested in taking it, although we felt the content was extraordinarily important. So rather than teach it as a standalone class that wasn't popular, we took that same content and integrated it into a lot of our more popular courses like CAD and engineering design and modeling and civil engineering. And instead, we propose to teach robotics as a course to replace that with, something that we feel will be more relevant for students. We also identified fashions and interior design, which was a family consumer science class that really didn't have a huge following and was kind of an outlier in our program. And we proposed to replace that with a course we want to call Adulting 101. And in Adulting 101, the course basically teaches students how to be an adult, the skills that they need to know when they go out on their own. So it'd be basic home maintenance and some basic cooking skills, sewing skills, things like that that they may need once they graduate high school and are out on their own. And also advanced accounting was a course that wasn't very well received by the students. And we've proposed to replace that instead with a course called Business Leadership, which will obviously teach some the finer points of business leadership. So, and on the fourth column, over there, you can see the student interest. We actually surveyed students. We had about 1,075 responses, and you can see some of the classes were pretty popular, especially that Adulting 101. We've got 656 students in grades 7 through 11 that are interested in taking that course. So we're hopeful that, these will work out well. In addition to doing the curriculum redesign, Ms. Teresa Gibbons, or Gibby as everybody knows her by, has been working hard on a career pathway project that will help students identify and investigate various career pathways and what courses they can take in high school to help them along that pathway. By combining an online career investigations platform called Major Clarity with the pathways Gibby's has created, students and their counselors can make more informed decisions on what core and elective classes they can take to make them more opportunity ready. Once the course catalog is finalized and approved, teachers will begin creating videos and other content to complete the final piece of this curriculum project, an updated CTE website. The goal is to have a website where students can go and learn more in depth about all the exciting courses we teach. Thank you for allowing me to give you this update and for the support you have given CTE over the years. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Board members?
No.
Mark, I know we had our General Advisory Committee meeting this week virtually, and it was a very good meeting. Can you elaborate a little bit about the Perkins Grant and where, possible funding will come from if the Perkins Grant is not available for certain things?
Yeah, absolutely. The Perkins Grant is a federal grant that's administered through the state annually. Generally speaking, we get in the neighborhood of $135,000 to $145,000 a year through the Perkins Grant. And the way we write as a CTE department a local plan on how to spend that money. Typically, we use that money for some broad categories. Professional development, number one. We usually spend a considerable amount of money. We've been doing a project over the past couple of years where we send counselors to our CTE conferences to give them more of an idea of what it is that CTE, is all about. We also use the money to purchase equipment. That's a large amount of the money we spend on purchasing new and updated equipment. And then we also have used it for things like curriculum development. So, yeah, it's a big deal. The federal government seems to be, it's one of the few bipartisan issues in the federal government right now, and they've actually just renewed the grant and sort of reaffirmed it. So,
Yeah, it plugs a hole for us pretty well. So.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jones.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming. Item 11.01, report by Roanoke County Public Schools Superintendent, Dr. Nicely.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our custom is whenever we have a new principal or director, department head named in our school system that would recognize them as a board member. It's my pleasure to ask Mr. Chris Lowe to come up here and join me for a moment.
Is that the one in the coat and tie?
He's wearing a coat and tie.
I'm not used to seeing him in a coat and tie.
Oh, look at him. He dresses up nice.
It's my pleasure to announce that Mr. Chris Lowe is going to be our new Director of Facilities and Operations, and you can hear from the friendly jesting and banter that Mr. Lowe, of course, is no stranger to us. Mr. Lowe is a proud graduate of Western Virginia University, but he's been with Roanoke County Public Schools for 15 years, and he is, in recent years, served as our construction manager. And prior to joining the school system, he worked with Roanoke County government as a planner and engineer in the Department of Community Development. Mr. Lowe has overseen multiple high-profile construction projects for us here in the school system, including the renovations and expansions of Cave Spring Elementary School, Green Valley Elementary School, Glenver High School, and he also oversaw the reconstruction of Cave Spring Middle School. And most recently, I'm proud to say that he managed and did a frankly outstanding job, the complete renovation and expansion of Cave Spring High School. And Chris and I got to work very closely on that project on a very hands-on level on several fronts of that, and it was certainly a pleasure to work with him. But I also want to say that I admire and appreciate the dedication that he has, not only to that project, but to our school system. Spent many long hours and cold and wet days and weekends, just devoted to making sure that project got off to a good start and saw it to completion. So we welcome Mr. Lowe and wish him all the best in his new position and say congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and Dr. Nicely. I'm really looking forward to this opportunity. I'm really excited, a little nervous, but we have a great team in what I consider the best school division in the state of Virginia. So I'm really excited. Thank you.
And West Virginia.
I've got to hedge my bets a little bit. Thank you.
Wait a minute there. You're not getting away.
Chris,
This is the roasting.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, congratulations. I mean, I think it's well deserved. I mean, I've been on the board since 2015. I've seen you work. I mean, you're always prepared, for our board meetings. Obviously you have a commitment to the school district with your longevity here. So that gives me a great sense of relief knowing that, that you're going to be around for a while. Just really looking forward to, kind of watching you grow in the role. And, I know you have a lot of respect from your coworkers and, now your direct reports. So I'm excited for you. I'm happy for you. I really mean that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Lowe, congratulations. To say you've earned your stripes is probably an understatement. All the years you've put toward the county schools has been admirable, and I've seen you grow just in the 3 years that I've been up here, and you've done an incredible job, and I think you'll do very well here in this position. So, congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Linden.
Mr. Butcher.
Yeah, Chris, congratulations. It's well-deserved. I know that in the 3 or 4 years, 5 years since I've been on the board, that there's been a lot of help from board members to the job that you have in making sure that our buildings are in great shape. And I think your predecessor did a lot to improve the maintenance side, and I'm sure that you'll continue to do that. And you'll get some help from me if you don't mind.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
What do I say? All I know is when I was out at Cave Spring High School project very frequently, and I don't know if you were saying, "Oh, there's Mike Ray again. Here he is again. What are we going to do?" And but I saw the qualities in you, Chris, that you got tough when you needed to be tough. When we had a situation, you didn't back down. You didn't say, "Oh yeah, it'll be okay. We'll get through." You didn't. You didn't compromise, and that was a quality that I saw that really stood out to me. Knowing that you have the qualifications and you're able to do the job. When you said you're a little nervous, that's good. It's good because you're stepping into something, you're stepping up, and you know the responsibilities. And I look forward to working with you as we move forward with other projects. So Congratulations. Good to have you aboard, a little higher board. So,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman, I actually bring a text from Mr. Greenway. He says, congratulations to you, and he also says, go Hokies.
And I should have added, Mr. Chairman, we did conduct a nationwide search and interviewed some very fine and well-qualified candidates from across the country, and Chris just earned it and rose to the top. So, again, congratulations to him. A few more comments, if you'll indulge me, Mr. Chairman. I've got several other things to report on. One, just a report. So we've had all of our central office administrators fanning out this morning and tomorrow. In fact, they're actually assigned on a regular basis to be in our schools just to touch base and help out whatever they can. But these 2 days, of course, we're having our third grade teachers make some adjustments in their classrooms, in some cases moving to cafeteria spaces and library spaces and doing whatever we need to do to go to our next phase of having our third graders come in every day starting next week. Looking forward to that. I got out to 4 of our elementary schools this morning and just really enjoyed seeing what the teachers were doing. One of the elementary schools in particular, met with the third grade teachers, and they just expressed their gratitude and thanks for not only just helping them, but for being able to get their students back in. So they're very grateful for that. A lot of folks are asking, what are the next steps? And I'll just reiterate that our next step is to continue to do what we're doing, and that is follow public health guidance and guidelines and go with the conditions at the recommendation of our health department. We don't put arbitrary dates or deadlines on this because there's no way for us to know, what conditions are going to look like 3 weeks from now or a month from now. But we're going to continue to be prepared and make adjustments as we're able to. And as the board is committed to following those public health guidelines, then that's what I'll continue to do is make recommendations, accordingly. I do want to say I appreciate Mark's report earlier from the Student Advisory Committee. These guys grilled me really well last Wednesday regarding all kinds of topics. I did challenge them near the end. I said, okay, please ask me something that's not COVID related. And one of your colleagues chimed in on the chat and said, well, what's your middle name? So we had fun with that. But I also challenged them. I said, look, you guys, I know this is tough and everything, but do you have one teacher that you want to brag on that's doing a great job you're really connecting with and you really appreciate? And it was really uplifting just to have several of them chime in and say, yes, Miss So-and-so or Mr. So-and-so. It's just great to work with, and I'm glad they had that chance to brag on some of their teachers. I also want to brag on some other employees. One of the things that we've had the opportunity to do this week is to nominate classified employees for, it goes through the state, but it's actually a national award called the RISE Award. It's recognizing classified employees who play just pivotal and, very important support roles in our schools. It was a quick turnaround, but I asked our principals, I said, nominate somebody from your school. And I thought I'd take a moment to share just about some of our other support folks who were nominated for this, by people at their school. So one was Connie Shulver, who's a nutrition associate at Herman O. Horn. And we learned that Connie is truly self-giving and a hard worker. She jumped right in back in the spring to help organize the meals program at Horn and really not only serve the students, but the entire community. And I just been out there at Horn and seeing what they were doing was pretty incredible. Another nutrition associate was Crystal Floyd at Glenver Middle and High School. And it said that she has just been unflappable in her resilience. Despite the many challenges in front of her and her staff, she constantly has to think about the multifaceted needs of 2 schools, but her commitment to the community she serves and where her sons grew up is without question. Ms. Lisa Dixon is our administrative assistant at Fort Lewis Elementary. She's a dedicated servant to Fort Lewis, the Glenver communities. She communicates and collaborates with all school staff to ensure the school runs smoothly and to support all needs related to school operations. She knows all of the students and families by name, nurturing relationships within the community. Christy Dilsher is the administrative assistant at Northside Middle School, and the front office administrative assistant in any rural school plays a crucial role, as she often is the one that parents, students, and staff first encounter, whether by phone or in person. She's always pleasant, kind, and keeps a good sense of humor, even when things get busy. And she's wonderful with our students and is often the first one to comfort them if they're upset, which makes them feel at ease. Vicki Carroll is the administrative assistant at Williamsburg High School. She's been a dedicated administrative assistant for 55 years. And can't wait to see her at the retirement banquet. But when she gets there, I don't think she has any plans to retire, but 55 years, imagine. She runs the show, is what Ms. Newcomb says. She's always the first to get to school and the last one to leave. The most important thing she does is make everyone, staff, students, and parents, feel welcomed as if they were lifelong friends. Carolina Corona is a building operator, custodian at Cave Spring Middle School. She's the hardest working custodian I have ever worked with in 6 years as an administrator and 14 total in education. She does not waste a single moment, as you will always find her cleaning and resetting our school for the next day or an upcoming event. She has embraced our school community, and she participates in school spirit days by wearing Cave Spring attire and shows great pride in everything she does around the building. Kevin Benner is one of our instructional assistants at Oak Grove. He's been in the FACS program there for about 5 years. His calm demeanor, patience, and consistency is an asset to the program. He rarely misses a day of school, which we appreciate. Katrina Brofford is the administrative assistant at Hidden Valley Middle School. Ever since the pandemic began, she's been asked, everything she's been asked of her has been fluid, and she never knows what to expect from one day to the next. However, she always approaches each task that has been asked of her with professionalism and focus. She thinks not only of the immediate school community, but also the surrounding community and neighborhoods. A couple more. Roger Claiborne is the building operator custodian at Northside High School. He and his team have worked so hard this year to have the building there looking great and maintaining a safe and clean school community during an extremely difficult and challenging time. He takes an active role in being a part of Northside and shows great pride in his interactions with staff and students. He comes in early, stays as late as needed to make sure the Viking campus is ready every day. And then Teresa Bailey is the building operator, custodian at Masons Cove Elementary. Her work ethic and dedication are nothing less than spectacular. She's very dedicated and goes above and beyond to ensure that the students, staff, and sure are taken care of. She's truly a team player who's willing to help in any way. And it says she is a truly dedicated member of our team who leads by example. And then one more. Lynn Bowles is a nutrition associate at Masons Cove also. She goes above and beyond to connect this cafeteria to the classroom. The cafeteria participates in all the school activities like Red Ribbon Week and Read Across America. If the classes are working on a particular skill, they call on Miss Lynn and she will find a way to incorporate that into the decorations or lunch items. She knows all the students and their needs. She will know if a student that typically gets breakfast does or does not, and she'll follow up with that. The community knows and loves her through all the activities that she's involved in. So I just wanted to lift up those folks who somebody took time to nominate and say such kind things about them, and we certainly appreciate all of our employees, and this award, of course, is for classified employees, and appreciate everything that they do.
Thank you, Dr. Nicely. Item 12, report and inquiries of board members. Volunteers first.
I don't have anything this evening. I've talked enough.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Mr. Butzer.
I wanted to just talk a little bit about, we started school in August, and here we are almost in November, and we have a plan that really follows the CDC guidelines and the health protocols. And I have to say, it's working. It really is working in our system. If you look at and read the paper, the number of COVID is real, and it's here in Roanoke County. I just read the other day that Lewis Gale and Carilion, I believe, are at 85% capacity, and they're getting a little bit concerned about the ability to handle additional COVID cases, that the COVID cases in this part of Virginia and in Roanoke County are on the rise. So it is out there in the community, and it's on the rise, but it's not being reflected in our schools. If you look at how we're following that protocol, we have not had a shutdown, thank God. We've had exposures, but almost all of them have come from outside of the school building. So what we're doing to protect the physical health of our children and staff is really working. But there is something that I'm worried about. I'm worried about the mental health aspect here. We had a young teacher talk to us tonight about and ask about additional training. all the board members have received emails from parents who are concerned about their children, that they say they're crying or that they're stressed. And so I know that is real. You know, humans are social animals. When you're isolated like this, I know that it's causing stress and some depression that's out there. And I would urge and hope that the school system can find a way to communicate to parents who are really the first line of recognizing this, that parents who have a normal, happy-go-lucky child who suddenly becomes withdrawn or depressed, we need to know about that. We really do. There are resources that we have here in the school system, and there are also resources that we have at the county. We need to take care of that problem because I know that it's real, and that's the one area that while we can take care of the physical health and minimize the virus spread, I'm worried about the mental health, and I would encourage parents and the school system to reach out and let folks know what their resources are. I really think we need to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Linden?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to piggyback on Mr. Butcher's comments a little bit. Tomorrow does mark the end of the first 9 weeks, and I know when we were starting this and getting our plans together, I had some people tell me we weren't going to make it through the first 2 weeks. And we've not only made it through 2 weeks, we've made it through 9 and done very well. And that is just, it shows the careful planning that went into place. It shows the hard work from all our staff, from our teachers, from our administrators, central office staff. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again, it's because of the leadership of our superintendent. And he's stayed on the cutting edge of what we're able to do. We're going to be able to expand starting on Monday, getting all third graders back. And we see other school districts in the region and around this area just copying or following our lead, and that's certainly flattering that he has been the leader in that for that, and I just wanted to say thank you there. So, and then this is our final board meeting before Election Day. So no matter what your political affiliation or views are, I hope people get out and exercise their right to vote on November 3rd. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well said. Thank you. Just to reiterate what my colleagues have said about the emotional effect that this is having, we need to know, we need to identify, and we need to see how we can intervene during these times before we can come back to a normal school year where we can open the school doors again and everybody comes in. We have been very good on what we have so far. I mean, the cases that we've had, I think in a very minimal number compared to the number of students which we have and the cases that I have. We do have the cases, and most of the cases are not occurring in the school system. It's actually brought into the school system. And if we're doing the social distancing, the isolate, what we're doing to take care of that, then we're mitigating the spread. So, we are very vigilant on it. Thank you, Dr. Nicely, and your group and your staff that are certainly adhering to the restrictions, the guidelines, and we certainly are certainly glad that we don't have, as Mr. Linden said, you'll be open 2 weeks and then you'll be shut down, and we weren't. So, and we're not. So, and we certainly are happy that we will have our third graders coming in on Monday, which will be a step in the right direction, and we'll continue to look at other grades and what possibilities we can to get them back in school until we can get a full open the doors and let's go back to school. So, but that is a very big problem, and I know, Dr. Nicely, we've discussed this and talked about it, so we certainly want to make sure that we're identifying those students that are, and we are trying to get them some help with this isolation. So I just wanted to give an update on our next meeting. Our work session will be Wednesday, November the 4th. It will be streamed, so hopefully folks will tune in and be able to see what happens with our work sessions and how we put everything together and make some sausage, mix it all together. So, but anyway, and then our next board meeting will be November the 12th, which will be our one meeting in November because the other meeting would actually be on Thanksgiving. So, as Mr. Linden said, it's day after the election. Please go out, whatever your, please exercise your right and freedom to vote. So, if there's nothing else, then we stand adjourned.